this issue of DGH versus a tertiary hospital is probably lifelong, and
Yeah.
I've been a consultant now for about 10 years, and I think we used to have these discussions about DGH versus tertiary center. And I personally started with this high ambition of wanting to work in a tertiary pediatric center. I got shortlisted for about 2 or 3 different jobs, got interviewed for 2 or 3 different jobs at these tertiary centers, didn't get them. I didn't get them probably because my experience was a bit misaligned between what I liked doing, which is retrievals, and working in theatres back then. But anyway, yeah, so that discussion, did you think about it, or did you have it early on in your career that you wanted to work at a certain place and you kind of went for it, or did you want to keep other options open?
So I always knew I preferred working in a DGH. So there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, I think what can happen in a lot of tertiary centres, and it's not exclusive everywhere, but is you kind of almost get pigeonholed into doing a certain list or a certain operation or a certain area, and you just do that over and over and over again. And because it is a tertiary centre, you'll often have different consultants doing different on-calls. You will have an obstetrics consultant doing an on-call for the obstetrics. You'll have a pediatric rota. You'll have a general on-call rota. If it's a neuro centre, you might have a neuro rota. So therefore, if you're a general consultant, you are only really covering the general theatres. Whereas in a DGH, if you're on call, you're covering everything. You're covering peds, you're covering obs, you're covering the general stuff. So therefore, I always like the idea of being able to still do everything rather than just being kind of niche, road down kind of speciality, which I know some people love, and that's why they love working in a tertiary centre, and that's great. But for me, I like the idea of being able to kind of do a bit of everything, and keeping my skills up in all kind of different areas. There's a colleague of mine who I did my finals with, and he's now a neuro consultant at Adam Brooks. He's again, we trained together, but then he fully went down the neuro pathway, because once he did neuro, he just found it really interesting. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to become more and more proficient at anesthetizing patients for neuroanesthesia. He just wanted to get better and better and better. And he wanted to very much be a expert at that one area, so that when it came to anesthetizing patients for neuroanesthesia, he wanted to be as good as he could be and go all in on neuro, because to him, there was always different aspects of it that were interesting. So doing the different types of cases, coming up with new, different, interesting ways to anesthetize the patients, wake them up, managing those major hemorrhages that you do still have in neuro, all of those things. So there was more than enough interest in neuro for him to go all in. And it's the same with cardiac. So I've got, again, a similar friend who went all in on cardiac, because for him, again, it was all the different aspects of being able to manage the ITU and having the kind of excitement of kind of transplants, on pump, off pump bypasses. So there was a lot of different aspects in there, and it allowed him to do echoes, and it was very procedure heavy. So all of those aspects were very interesting for him to be able to go, actually, do you know what? I'm absolute specialist in that one area. And both of them didn't really have interest in doing anything else. So they didn't have that broad interest that I do, where I actually like doing other things. They didn't. They were quite happy to never have to see an obstetrics theatre again, or ever have to see an ENT theatre again, or anything like that. So they were perfectly happy, and for them, that's what's.
Yeah. I identify with the obstetric part of their thinking.
I think a lot of people probably do.